Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. so, there's been this viral video that that is about the fake feminism. What Neha Dupia. Let's watch it and then we'll discuss it after that.
वो है जिनको मैंने मारा है।
इसमें कुछ कहा?
हाँ कुछ ना मतलब होता है कि रिलेशनशिप में आप कुछ भी कर देते हो और कुछ भी बोल दोगे।
कैसा लगा मारने के बाद? मजा आया था?
हाँ
Maybe the problem lies with you. Check yourself first. अगर वो वहाँ जाके cheat कर रही है, maybe she was feeling threatened by you. Maybe you are not providing physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever she needed. Don't say कि मैं सब करता था. Nobody gives you the fucking right. Nobody gives you the fucking right to slap a girl.
Mama still is there.
वो है जिनको मैंने मारा है।
Oh man, I don't know. That is kind of like sick. What kind of a sick person talks like that?
Who the fuck are you to expect fucking loyalty even from your own pet dog? Who the fuck are you?
But if I am showing
Who the fuck? If I am, let's say I'm angry, motherfucker,
Shit.
and expect you to be angry with me. Be angry with me, motherfucker.
so I go
I expect it. I expect you to be a mirror fucking reflection of me. Be it.
सर अगर मैंने
Be a mirror fucking reflection of me.
अगर आपने गलती की है
Fucking dickhead.
तो अगर
Oh,
गलती की
man.
है तो सर सजा कुछ ना कुछ तो मिलनी चाहिए
गलती
I'll tell you the reason why.
गलती तेरे चुके
वो
बुद्धि
कौन
है
है इसका साथ देने
तेरे
वाला?
चुके गलती
सर उसने कन्फेस भी किया
कन्फेस क्या किया
उसने खुद so उसने कन्फेस खुद
क्या
किया
confess किया उसने?
that she was with me because I was famous in college
तो
बस
तो क्या गलती है
उसको
इसमें?
फैशन वॉक करना था
What?
उसको रैंप पे आना था इसीलिए उसने ये सब फालतू किए
तो
मेरे
पता है
साथ
तो पता है
और
तूने क्यों
6 जन के
मारा? पता है
साथ
तूने क्यों मारा है? Because you felt hurt.
Yes, sir.
Because you're fucking
How is that not abuse? That is abuse as well. It's clearly. This is the reason I don't watch this Roadies show anymore. Like it's been more than 10 years since I stopped watching TV, like altogether. Not just Roadies. But even then, like even 10 years back, I never really liked this show because I thought that this is all like scripted, and I'm sure that like pretty much the whole thing is scripted. I'm not sure to what extent they they, but this dude Nikhil Chinnappa and Neha Dupia, they are like kind of overacting, I would say. If this is a part of a script, they're probably overreacting on camera. But still, like, abuse is abuse irrespective of whether it happens to a guy or a girl. So I'm not like for slapping, but like what Neha Dupia and Nikhil Chinnappa are doing to this dude over there is clear abuse too. And I'm like, till yesterday I've been following this like since yesterday morning, around like maybe morning afternoon sometime around. But I have a feeling that like this could be like a publicity stunt for this show, or maybe for even the movie Tappad, because now that I see Tapsi Pannu is also like into this, it could very well be like a TRP publicity stunt type of thing. But no one can say that for sure. Now, like after a long silence, I think Neha Dupia has like written something on Instagram, posted something on Instagram, says Roadies is sure I'm para, like gives me opportunity, blah blah blah. What I do not like or accept is what's happening, and guy talking about his partner cheating on him allegedly. Like how is it allegedly? I don't understand. He clearly says that she confessed, and in retaliation he hit her by his own admission. But the girl, there is a choice, and she made choice she made is a moral choice, regardless of someone, man or woman. Adultery is a moral choice. Okay. Cheating is not something I stand for. It is unfortunate that I've been misrepresented. No, you clearly not have been misrepresented. There's another video that going around where you like just smile when a girl says that she slapped 4 guys. So like you just a hypocrite. Just like accept it. Sadly, as a reaction to my opinion, I've been subject to weeks of vitriol. One of my posts had over 56k comments. It's got a lot more than that actually. Yet I was silent because people close to me or nothing to do with my family, friends, even my dad's personal WhatsApp were being flooded with that. Now that is bad. I don't like. I'm not supporting that, but my daughter's page is nothing less than a barrage of abuses, and this is not acceptable to me. What a man or a woman does in a relationship is their choice, and moral choices are always ambiguous. But no matter what they are, they cannot lead to physical abuse. I stand by the fact, no matter what, physical abuse or assault is not acceptable. Obviously, man's physical strength is a lot more than a girl's, and gender-biased violence is a huge problem in our country and across the world. I urge people, whether a man or woman, educate themselves about domestic violence. Now, I agree with you partially on that, but I don't necessarily agree with you when you say like what a woman or man does in a relationship is their choice. It can't work like that. That is bloody hypocrisy. And morality is something that is a collective responsibility. It's not like I'll do whatever I want in a relationship and you can do whatever you want. Like it's not a relationship anymore, right? It's like a transaction. Like the world would never be a good place to live in if the whole thing becomes a transaction, if sex becomes like a transaction, right? Like there are emotions attached to sex because it's a very complicated thing. Yeah, and I just find it funny that these pseudo feminists, like these toxic feminists, act like they've like sorted it all out. Now it's a far more complicated thing. Like, and we as a civilization, we only in the past 30 to 40 years, not 30 to 40 years, maybe 40 maybe to 50 years, only in the past 30, 40, 50 years we are working together. Before that, like men used to do different jobs and women predominantly used to like household chores, if you know what I mean. And we are still trying to figure out like to make this everything to make this work for everyone. And that's where this equality and then feminism and then everything comes in. But then sometimes it gets a bit out of hand. Like it goes out of hand, and then it gets exploited by people who are ill-informed, like these people like on MTV, like Neha Dupia or Nikhil Chinnappa or anyone who is like gender biased and you know what I mean, right? Now let's I just did let's watch a few more tweets, and then because I really find this funny. Like when this is how Neha Dupia reacts when a girl says she slapped 4 guys, and see how she's like smiling, and there's absolutely no regret on her face. It's a grin that she gives. And now this dude says he slapped a girl, and he looks guilty to me, and I think he also said that like he probably was guilty, and like he didn't feel good. But her reaction was a bit like, I don't know. It's and there's this comment by dude, like, what do you mean by it's her choice if a boy or a girl would cheat a boyfriend or girlfriend or big they trust with this? Everyone should stop watching this kind of scripted show, manipulative. I totally agree on that. This show is like kind of social engineering. I remember, in fact, MTV shows were the ones who kind of introduced this F word culture. Before that, like the F word wasn't that common in India at least, like, but now it has become really really common, and it's kind of become like cool, to use the F word. And but the same word, if you use in a local language, it's considered like abusive, and it's considered third grade or whatever. And that there's some kind of hypocrisy on that. And even these guys who say he used these abusive words so liberally, you can hardly find them using it in the native language. But because for some reason using the English word is kind of cool. And it's all like a typical Indian mindset, where like whatever they're like speaking a foreign language or speaking British, the way the Americans do, it's kind of cool, because we have the slave mindset still. Let's few tweets. Oh, let's watch this. This is an old video.
Why don't you go and then?
Oh man.
You go. How can you slap? How can you slap? How can you slap?
Oh,
How can you slap?
How can you slap?
How can you slap?
How can you slap?
and I the first time I saw it, like I was really like shocked, like how these guys gang up and beat that dude. Now, like there is this whole question here, whether you can slap a woman or not, whether is it okay to slap a woman. And some say if she slaps the guy first, then it's all right. But there are some cultures where they don't slap women. It's considered unmanly to slap a woman. But again, it's a cultural thing. So I just like Googled for slapping, like what it is across the cultures, and this is what we have. Studies have shown that. Okay, let's start from here. Slapping is viewed differently by different cultures. In many countries, such as Iceland, slapping children is viewed as a form of physical abuse, and it is illegal. Fair enough. Whereas in others, such as England, it is seen by only some parents as abusive, and even then only moderately so. Indian study found a high rate of approval for husbands slapping their wives, particularly among husbands and middle class Indians. Yeah, India is like a very sexist and conservative country, and we are not necessarily a very macho kind of culture either. So I think slapping is kind of like not a big deal in the Indian culture. Although I believe it is slowly changing due to the laws and everything, like regarding domestic violence. Studies have shown that although Americans frown upon domestic violence, regardless of whether the perpetrator is male or female, generally they are more accepting of minor violence such as slapping, where it is perpetrated by a woman against a man, or vice versa. So in Americans, I think like they don't like consider slapping a big deal either. Now, women who inflict minor acts of violence on their male partners have a higher than normal probability of being severely assaulted by those partners, and domestic violence experts therefore advise at risk women to refrain from even minor acts of physical blah 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 blah. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. So slapping is kind of like a cultural thing. And India, it has never been a big deal, and that's why we have these movies that are being made now, like Thapar and everything, which is about like domestic violence. In fact, I think it's about just a slap, and which can no longer be viewed as just a slap, which is fine, which is all right. I think we should have more of these movies, because like. Okay, here's what I would say. Like whether a guy can slap a woman or not, I don't know. because I'm still not sure like whether because it is a subjective term, and which is different across different cultures. But I like the way I grew up, like if someone slaps me, I would slap someone back, irrespective of whether it's a guy or a girl. And in my culture, in it's a Tamil culture, it's like women like who like they are not supposed to slap a guy, it's considered very unwomanly for a woman, I would say. Like, I don't know what else to use. Like I don't know if it's if is this a result of sexism. I don't know, maybe you can say that, but it is more like equality, just like how you can't expect a man to slap a woman, the same goes with the woman, like vice versa. But whereas in the movies, we have these movies where specifically in Bollywood and in Kollywood and whatnot, we've been used to this notion of a woman slapping a man to be really, really common, and to be a norm almost in the Bollywood movies. But when it comes to vice versa, like there's this domestic violence and all kinds of things that we come up with. So what this gives rise to is a kind of exploitation on some some women tend to exploit this and then take men for granted. And that is what has happened in this Roadies episode, where this guy's girlfriend like uses him, exploits him for his good looks or whatever profession that he was in, and which led him to retaliate. And then now we are in this whole discussion right now. Are women really noble creatures? You can't say that. Like, we are all humans. We tend to make mistakes, and just like how men make mistakes, women also don't make mistakes. They are not like they are not like above everyone else. They are not like noble or anything. But the way we are wired is a little bit different. Like, say, as a man, like men grow up evolutionarily, men tend to be the stronger sex, and women tend to be the weaker sex. So we men tend to express anger through anger physically, whereas women tend to express anger like emotionally, case of like holding a grudge, or like getting back at someone or something, like being manipulative, not direct violence, but there'll be ways like words coming up with really harmful and poisonous words like that can hurt someone's ego. So that's how men and women are wired. Now, because we are in this, like, as a civilization, we are all working together. We are like more close with each other than ever. We are working towards cutting down on the physical violence part, and so that it makes the world a better place for both the sexes to work, to live in. So what's happening essentially right now is we are rewiring the men to cut down the physical aspect of letting out their emotions or their rage, and then tuning them more into like a feminine counterparts, like so as a result of that, there is this increasing laws and movies and where gender like physical violence or even a slap is considered a violence. And then so we are in this discussion right now. Whether what is being shown on this MTV as this thing is right or wrong, I personally think it's not like a very unbiased thing that they are trying to propagate. Of course, there is some because essentially what these guys are doing is just exploiting the people who like struggle, the youngsters who struggle to become famous or whatever, and then like abusing them to kind of like submit into their perspective, which is kind of like which is actually social engineering in a way, which is really bad for the society. But since since these are entertainment channels, we tend to like kind of ignore this. But I think slowly that culture is slowly, TV culture is slowly dying, and people are moving towards Netflix and whatnot. And it's not it's not like it's not going to be long before these shows and get called up for their hypocrisy, and then they probably won't even be roadies maybe 5-10 years from now. Because everyone knows it's all scripted and it's very, very unauthentic. So like let's go back to this. Yeah, so this article that I read like just before I started this video. Now this is what the author says. So the author is a woman called Lindy, and let's see what she says. Now she says, last night I watched Harry Met Sally. A lot of my friends have raved about the cult classic, so I thought I would give it a try. So there's a scene in this movie. Sally is at a friend's wedding, gets approached by Harry. She's upset with him because after they had sex 3 weeks ago, he fell off the radar and left her feeling neglected. The situation begins to escalate when Sally and Harry start yelling at each other during their argument. Harry says plenty of hurtful things to Sally. He compares her to a dog and more or less blames her for the sexual encounter. Things become even more heated when once Harry admits he only had sex with her out of pity. Now, enraged by this, Sally slaps Harry across the face. In the context of the film, Sally's slap is meant to be an empowering moment for her. She is standing up to Harry and letting him know that this callous behavior is unacceptable, but it left a bitter taste in my mouth. Sally is certainly not the first fictional female to physically express her anger. The female slap, as I refer to it, is an extremely common trope found in all kinds of movies and TV shows. You've probably seen a woman slapping a man or punching him on screen at some point, but in case you haven't, here are just a few examples of where you can find it. How I Met Your Mother, Ratatouille, Modern Family, Glee, Scrubs, Riverdale, The Mindy Project, Jane the Virgin, The Vampire Diaries, Frozen, blah blah blah. This female slap can be discovered in every genre, from soap operas to Disney films. Although the women who physically assault men in these movies and shows are often seen as strong and courageous, the message behind the female slap is less about empowerment and more about physical violence, which is true. But what does the female slap really mean? Before we discuss why it's so awful, we should probably talk about what the female slap really means. Why do directors and writers insist on making women slap men? Well, in the context of Harry Met Sally, the crushing blow was delivered out of anger. Harry insults Sally and chooses to physically punish him for his words. The slap is meant to hurt him just as much as he hurt her, as well as be a wake-up call. Sally slaps says, you idiot, why would you say that to me? Instead of wondering why Sally would hit Harry rather than talk it out. The audience feels like the slap was deserved. I mean, he shouldn't have angered her, right? The female slap can also be used as a comedic device as well. Consider the medical comedy Scrubs. What have the main character Jerry slapped by a woman is in daydreams and is not meant to be taken seriously. He is imagining all of the stupid things he could say and how the females in life might react. But whether it's out of comedy or not, the female slap is still sending the wrong message and is far too culturally accepted. Why the female slap is wrong, why people don't get upset about it. Remember when Harry and Sally talked about, well, what if the situation was reversed? Harry gets approached by Sally and he's the one upset by a lack of communication after the one night stand. Sally tells Harry she only had sex with her out of pity and out of anger, slaps her across the face. I mean, that's what she gets, right? She should not have said that to Harry. Of course, he was going to slap her for it. That the movie might be from the 90s, but I can only imagine the outrage it would cause. Audiences would not tolerate a man slapping a woman under any condition, especially not out of anger. Harry and any other male character slapped a woman would immediately be regarded as abusive monster, which you will notice that the men who do hit women in TV shows and movies are meant to be seen abusing monsters. They aren't the love interest or the protagonist. Yet, when the tables are turned, nobody bats an eyelash at a woman giving a man a smackdown, even though the female character is being abusive. Audiences are hardwired to side with the abuser. I mean, he deserved it, right? There are a couple of reasons for this, but it's pretty much all boils down to sexism. That is correct. To both men and women. Even though it's 2019 and feminism has hit its fourth wave, there is still an extreme hesitation for people to view women as capable of abuse and men capable of being victims to it. Women are still seen as weak and men are still seen as untouchable. The truth is that rapists, pedophiles, and abusive partners come in all shapes and sizes, including women. 1 in 10 men experience some form of abuse from an intimate partner, and while that is not as much as women do, it does still happen. I also recognize that some of those 1 in 10 men are in same-sex relationships, but a large portion of them are not. When you consider how people treat men slapped women versus women slapped women, you start to see a disturbing double standard arise. So yeah, so that is what I'm saying. Like, slapping anyone is bad, only because, like, even though most of the men are generally considered weak, they strong. There could still be men who are weak. Like, a slap can do a lot of things to a person. Like, I read an article sometime back. Like, this woman died because her husband slapped her. So a slap can cause death. So the same is the case for both women and men. A woman slapping a guy, you might end up actually, harming him to the point of death. So that is the reason why we are saying violence is bad, irrespective of whether it comes from a man or a woman. But we clearly see this double standard that when a woman slaps a guy, it is seen like we almost like look those things, like we don't take it seriously, because of which certain people like this dude's girlfriend, they tend to exploit relationships and cause this in a way, like, we are having this discussion about it, like, regarding fake feminism or pseudo feminism or toxic feminism or whatever it is. It has one thing good it has done is, like, there is like a heated debate on this right now, on whether feminism is going a bit too far with cases like this. And clearly these guys, these TV hosts like Nikhil Chinappa and Hedupia, I don't think they're like, they have any idea about what feminism is. They just like doing what the script writers were asking them to do, but then they are overacting they are overacting in my opinion. Like, it is social engineering, like trying to socially engineer the audience to think a certain way. It is actually social engineering. And let's see what happens, like how this goes. I'm curious as to, like, because Indians, I watched the movie Pink and I really liked it, but I've not seen Thappad. I know where it crosses feminism and where like becomes toxic feminism or whatever. So I am very, very particular when it comes to watching movies. Like, every once in a while this thing happens, is like a conservative society, like these liberals try to say that if this is a compass, like, and this is the center of the compass. Now, okay, I'll say, if this is a this is left and this is right. Like every once in a while the society takes a stand. Like you have generally there will be a predominantly a right-wing thing or predominantly a left-wing thing in the mainstream. Every time they try to bring this closer to some more like kind of a center where it's not too left or neither too right. Sometimes it goes like it goes a bit extreme, as in say extreme left or extreme right. Now if we need to bring it back every once in a while to have the society kind of like keep the society in a safe zone, you know. Like I believe that's what's going on with feminism right now. Feminism is some people, some ill-informed, stupid people who are probably who probably have had a lot of abuse in the young when they were young, probably misusing feminism to promote anti-male propaganda, and the same goes with the guys as well. Some guys they experience abuse in the earlier days, and then they start developing misogyny or whatnot. But like either of this is wrong. Like, and we need to have something like that judges people equally, irrespective of their sex. Is what my personal opinion is. And yeah, so let me know, guys, your thoughts and your inputs. What do you think? Do you think like what Neha Dubia has done is right, or do you think the dude shouldn't have slapped her? Let me know. This is JDP. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.